every sale is dependent on the industry, on the market, on the person that is buying, on the person that is selling. There is no one size fits all.
Sales or products or services, they happen because most of us are lazy. Like
Yeah.
Swiggy or Zomato, the online delivery thing.
5-minute app workout, you get 6-pack abs. The million views. When you watch the thumbnail and watch the view count, you understand like what is the people mentality. I don't want to put in the work. I just want the result in less possible time.
From a sales perspective, ask the people are some of the best salespeople because they always tell what you will lose if you don't the sales.
Welcome to the third episode of Fresh Shocks, the Sold Out podcast. And I'm your host, Rahul. And we also have...
Hi, I'm Karthik.
Hi, this is Architect FSR.
Yeah. So I just wanted to start off this podcast by asking a few questions. First is like, how did you feel after the first two podcasts? Like, what was the response from you guys? I mean, from your circle.
Yeah, Cesar, you want to take that?
Yeah.
As always, you are the first boss.
Yeah, so the first feedback that I got from some of my friends was, it's something that's definitely turning out to be something very interesting that they never saw this side of me. So because this is the first time that I'm actually speaking live or on a recorded podcast or like showing myself out there in the world, putting myself out there in the world, sharing my experiences and everything. So that's something that they felt that it's a different dimension that I have. Yeah, so that's one. And several people got back in touch with me asking me what is it that we are trying to do.
So is it because they did not understand what we are trying to do here, or?
No, I mean, in fact, I wouldn't say it that way, but it's like, they're kind of curious, like, what kind of started this whole journey, why this suddenly, and so on, because I've always done things on a one-on-one before, be it working with different companies or whatever it is, it's always been one-on-one sales and everything. It's always been one-on-one. So this is something, kind of different, and people felt they really want to know what is happening. So I was trying to explain to them the basics of, trying to condense the 1.5 hours of podcast into a few minutes of conversation, kind of trying to put things in perspective for them. So that happened. Quite a few interesting observations along the way, really. We were quite interested in knowing what got us together, why the three of us. That happened. Somebody even mentioned about SSR's writing skills. So I had to tell them, kind of leak the secret as to what he was writing. Well, I'm not leaking it in public. I did that one-on-one. So yeah, it was fun really. So people, this kind of got me, sharing this, whatever we're trying to do. I shared this with quite a few people, and they were quite interested. And the people who were really interested, they were like, they couldn't wait, and they were like, let's get the ball rolling as quickly as possible. So I was telling them, give us a couple of months, we'll get the whole thing in place, and we'll move on. So that's,
I got to see one comment saying, "I wish I was there on the table." I don't know who that is.
Oh, that is.
who is that?
I'll tell him who. I'll tell who it is.
The table is free. You can join anytime.
No, not he's not a tabler.
Okay.
He is a very good salesperson himself. He's Giant. And, he belongs to this thing called Alpha Club. So Giant and Digital Deepak. He's one of the most renowned digital coaches in the country. He's from Salem. Biker turned digital marketer turned digital coach. One of the best. I've attended his internship. So we have something called Alpha Club. So it's a high ticketed stuff where whatever we want to do in the internet, anything, there are like 100 people, more than 100 people around. Jayant joined as an intern and then he became a co-founder along with Deepak. Yeah, that's a very nice and very enterprising guy. So I had shared it with the club. And so he saw this and he felt, he liked the vibe that we did.
Okay.
That's why he said, I wish I was part of it. And he's a pro in sales himself. That was one really positive comment that we got directly in YouTube.
So from my side, I did not really disclose what I was doing, but some people are like, "What is this? What is going on?" Like, I've never seen this side of you. Like, what are you doing? Sales, is that a thing that you do? I'm like, that's all I did to grow. What do you expect? Yeah. So but to other people who are like in the business aspect, when I shared the idea that we give to business owners the on-demand salespreneurs, and they are like, that's great, because they also have the same, problem where, regardless of whether they have a need for salesperson or not, they have this pressure of holding a lot of people in their sales team. And this is something that they would want to have, is what the major feedback is. And no one has ever said, I don't understand, I don't get this. They're like, wow, this is a nice initiative. It's great. So overall positive response in my circle. What about you, Isar?
Even for me, there was a lot of positive response. Not even a single thing that was like, why are you doing this? Nothing. I was actually expecting a lot of my friends to tell, why are you doing this? Right? But not even a single person. There were a few people who called, people who generally call for other things. They called and they were very curious on what is this? What was this? The way we spoke, the name, everything created curiosity. So they spoke, and people who know, let's say Rahul and me, they were like, what is Batman doing here? Okay.
Who's the other guy?
Lot of people, at least 5-6 guys. Okay. So whom I know through social media. Okay. So whom we know each other. So they were asking. They were actually happy. That's one thing. The same way, people who know me and Karthik, they also like in a positive thing, like, oh, what are you guys doing? How did you get along? So they wanted to know the backstory. As you said, they just wanted to know how this thing took up. And that is one thing. And people are curious about things. Like, what are we doing? Why sales? Because nobody talks about sales, right? So that is one thing that we wanted to do. So I would say that we tick the checkbox.
Right.
And generally, is it about marketing online? No, I said it's sales. Sales is anything. One-to-one sales, one-to-group, online, in person, wherever you go, sales is sales. So we are going to talk about sales. And then the other thing is the name. I got WhatsApp messages the first day itself. After we released the first thing, Fresh, they really liked it. And the Hawks thing also. The story was really nice. But they were, some were curious to know why Hawks, why not Eagles, why not this, if you say. And what was that scientific thing? I said, no, I'm content for the next series of podcasts.
Okay.
So, Rahul and Karthik, they were more curious on whom we are working with. One of our friends, Sudarshan, right? He always says, people don't follow people. People actually follow your work. What do you do? Who you do it? Why you do it? How you do it? That's what people are interested. As such, people have nothing to share. And some months, like when I starting the community, like when I want to join, we already received more than 20 expression of interest forms. So that the link was in our bio and YouTube as well, right? So 20 people have done, and we have got varied variety of people, equal number of female expression of interest. And age-wise also, we had people right from 18, 19 till 40, 45, and across a lot of domains. Real estate, I thought more than half will be real estate, but
because that's what we were talking about for the most
25-30% was only real estate. They were really interesting sales propositions. And many people were corporate employees who wanted to learn sales strategies because we had mentioned, right? Even if you want to get a hike or promotion, that's sales. Many people wanted to know that.
Right.
And how it works, like how are we going to do, what is the platform, what is the portal? The curiosity with which people spoke to us was on how we are going to implement to the clients whom we are going to provide a solution, as well as the people who want to be part of the community. So the overall this thing. And my community architects, they had no clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I didn't promote it in my community consciously. I didn't promote consciously. I didn't want to deviate them from whatever they were doing. But overall, I personally felt happy for doing that. I mean, the long pending thing, like we were speaking. So getting things done is actually good. And all the people who spoke had good things to say.
Actually, on that aspect, I definitely want to say that what we spoke about specifically on the topic of on-demand salespreneurs, that kind of resonated very well with prospective clients, I would say. This is something that most entrepreneurs, they struggle with, right? Because there is always month-end targets, there could be yearly targets, they are in need of more people. And then sometimes, it's just an add-on burden on the company, having a lot of people on roll. That's one word that kind of resonated with many people, I would say. And,
in fact, a lot of pressure in the sales people as well, and then there's a huge pressure. The amount of deliverable will actually reduce.
Yes, in fact, that is one thing that happens with many companies, right? People hire salespeople, and then they give out targets and everything. And sometimes these targets themselves don't really do justice to the salespeople themselves. Sometimes they just freeze in time, and they're like, I have this target to achieve. I don't know what.
Yeah.
So for
And
some
that's
people, it's
that's because
you
it's
know
not very incentive, right? Like, okay, if I achieve the target, then what? The answer is not
see,
very
there is more often than not
fruitful.
there is an incentive structure in place, but that doesn't really motivate them as much as commission only or an incentive only kind of work model, I would say. Because at the end of the day, they do get a little comfortable with a fixed salary and so on. So that kind of really flatlines at some point of time, that they are not in a position to go ahead and do something more than what they actually committed for. So yeah.
That's the one keyword, on-demand salespeople. That whoever spoke, they were like, "What is on-demand and how does it work?" So I kind of briefed them what it was. As he said, all of them are potential collaborators with us.
Yeah.
And the other keyword was buyer's consultant. I think that start will be remembered for that buyer's consultant. And that was another keyword. And the thing that we told, the mindset that we need to have, sales preneur. Even if you're working somewhere, you think that you are an entrepreneur. If you are going to approach sales with an employee mindset, it will never work. You have to have that entrepreneur mindset. So I think those three things was well received. Generally, the talks were around it. All the other things which I thought will be spoken about, nobody cares.
Yeah, that's usual thing. So I just want to discuss about best sales strategy, or like whatever that works for your own process. I just want to touch upon that process as well today, in a sense that, for example, you have a product or service, and then every time you're trying to sell, what is the key factor that you consider? Do you have like a pattern, or do you have a certain set of framework, or do you have certain, like, what is your sales process in general, and what works for you think?
See, every sale is different, and every sale is dependent on the industry, on the market, on the person that is buying, on the person that is selling. There is no one size fits all kind of thing. But this one size fits all, I would say there are some core strategies that will work. But every sale you'll have to really kind of, it's like Carnatic music. There are fixed number of ways in which you can play music, but then you're going to have to improvise it in every given concept. That's what happens. So it depends on the mindset.
Do you really know Carnatic music?
I have zero idea of Carnatic music.
Just have a doubt.
Trust me, I have zero idea about that.
Next time you choose analogy, make sure you choose from something that
I use that analogy because I felt that people will understand it better, because it is always about improvising, right? There are fixed patterns, there are fixed notes.
What is that?
Okay. Are you trying to say that you are?
No, I'm writing today also. I'll tell you why.
Okay, at least today I see few words. Anyways, as I was saying, there is always improvisation that happens, and that kind of happens on the go. Where you really have to understand where the client is coming from, what is their state of mind, because there could be multiple objections that will crop up. It could be saying that I don't want to buy this right now. I don't have a need for this right now. I don't have the money for it right now. My budget is not approved right now. There could be so many reasons, right? So you really have to figure out what is the best way to make sure that the sale happens. And the potential answer for that question is that you will have to improvise. But then improvising does not mean that you go in unprepared, right? Because if you walk in unprepared, then that is never going to happen, right? I mean, you're going to have to prepare yourself, to answer the questions that your client is expected to ask you. And try and steer it towards some logical, place where you can actually close the sale. But that doesn't mean that you just go walk in unprepared and expect everything to happen on the fly. Some basics will have to be worked on, and then you go meet the client. You really understand where they're coming from, make the improvisations as and when required, and try and close the sale. So going back to what I said earlier, there is no one size fits all. There is no one process that always works for all clients, all sellers, all products, all markets. No, but the basics hold true, and we'll have to improvise according to the market, according to the client, according to the situation that we are in.
What about you, sir?
The show this year, no single strategy, right?
Okay.
I use the word performance. I'm showing this because many people ask what did you say that you spoke something and Karthik understood and you were able to this thing, right? The way we approach sales, I started writing this one the moment you asked the question. So the first thing I wrote was no single strategy. That's what he explained, like one size fits all doesn't work in sales, right? So you always go with a clean mind. And then I approach sales like a performance, like it's a show for me. So I basically used to dance in school and all, right? You perform on stage. So when you go and perform on stage, there's a certain ritual, right? You really, really practice well. Though you practice well, you're
So
always.
Karthik was right.
While he said Carnatic music, the analogy, though he doesn't sing, that is what he do. But the analogy, it's the same.
So grammar.
It's a performance. Basically, it's a performance, and there's a grammar. Not everyone can do it. You have to practice, and then the result is clueless. I mean, a performance with all the practice also can go both ways, right? So I approach sales the same way. That's why I showed this. The way we approach sales is what got us together. That's why I showed nothing else. And I also wanted to prove that I actually write. It's just that you forget it. So as he said, no single strategy. Every sales is different, dependent on whether we are selling a service or a product. Okay, and whether we are selling it to a single person or a small group of people, a homogeneous group of people, or a heterogeneous group of people. Like single person is, I am selling, let's say, a software to Karthik. He's a single person, right? Let us say I'm selling a software to a bunch of co-founders. It's a homogeneous group or a family of a husband, a wife, kids, father, mother. I'm trying to sell my architectural design. So it's a homogeneous group. And then there are like 100 audience in your Instagram or YouTube channel. They are a heterogeneous group. But that's also group sales. So there are various methods with which you categorize them. So once you have clarity on who you are selling to and what you are selling, and then only you will know how to sell it. You will find the answer. And whatever it is, to keep things very simple, you have to have a process in place. Okay. And you have to practice that really well. So whenever we go for sales pitches, I ensure I have a proper pitch deck, even for my architectural sales. So generally people want to know about us. People want to know about our projects. People want to know what our past clients did. People want to know what awards we've done. People want to know about my team. People want to know, they'll have a lot of frequently asked questions. So I have, for my sale, whatever I do, be it a design service, be it a project management service, or be it a workshop that I do, or be it a product that I'm going to sell, I have the presentation material ready, understanding what the clients might ask. So that comes from experience and understanding the customer persona. So this is simply understand the customer, understand the product, and then have material ready, and you have to prepare really well. Without preparation, you will suck at it. That's why I say it is a performance. You can be a great dancer, but then suddenly you ask to dance in a stage, you will not do. And the other thing is, you have to have positivity always. You might have had the worst day in your life. Things will be going haywire everywhere else. But when it comes to sales, you have to go into the performance mode. Nobody cares about your problems. Nobody cares about your revenue. Nobody cares about your health. Nobody cares about anything. The client or the customer is interested in knowing how your product or your service is going to help them.
Yeah.
And they don't want to hear anyone speaking low. So the energy with which you speak should be really, really high. Like, I'm not asking you to speak like a public speaker, all those things, but you should always maintain that positivity. Even when we are facing objections, we should face that positivity. Now, all this positivity, confidence will come only when you practice well. That's it. I'm not talking about experience. That is one thing that I follow. And I will never go into a sales meeting expecting the sales to get over in the first meeting. I go with an open mind, prepared like a test match. I'm there going to just face the balls. That's it. I'm not looking at scoring 100. I don't look far too ahead. Do the job in hand. So in sales meeting, I divided it into 2 or 3 types, depending on what we sell. So first is a discovery meeting. So there, our job is to help them, get cues where they identify our product or service as the thing that is going to solve their problem. And then there's another meeting where they want to have real questions, where they have clarities and stuff. Once the client goes into that stage, it means our first meeting was a success. The sale shouldn't have happened, but they are success because they are asking questions. So when people ask more questions, I feel happy because they are actually listening. They are actually thinking ahead and asking questions from the
to
future.
make a decision.
That's very important. And Finally, when someone starts negotiating, now this can happen the second meeting for my line of business. Sometimes it happens in the third also. When they negotiate, so I am of the assumption like they've ticked all the boxes. It's just the pricing that they want to do. So they'll negotiate the total price or the terms and conditions or those things. So there I keep it simple. There are negotiables which I can offer. There are non-negotiables, which when Karthik mentioned about those three things.
Triangle.
For me, time is a non-negotiable when I do design. For a product, it's different. A ready-to-sell product, it's different. Manufactured product, it is again, time is non-negotiable. So yes, we understand these things. So at the back of my mind, I already know this. And I really have this good habit of writing stuff before I go. So whatever meeting I go, I put my thoughts together, go there and listen to the person really carefully. And this is very, very important. You might have the best product, you might have the best service. But if the person across feels that you're not listening well to them, even though your product is the best, even though your product is going to solve their problem, they might not buy it.
Yeah.
People want to be here. So we have to speak less and we have to listen more. One mouth and 2 ears, we have to use them proportionately. Yeah. And trust me, when it's a sales meeting, for all the talking I do, I'll be the one who speaks the least. I will let the other person speak more. And if I go as a team, I will let my associates or subordinates speak more. And I will step in only when it is needed. So I go into that zone of analyzing things, observing things. What is the client feeling happy about? What is the customer feeling happy about? What words we said and they ask questions. Why are they asking this question? So while we are speaking, you constantly keep, analyzing things and ask them the next question. And to understand them. Pretty much this is the sales process. And as I said, it's a performance. MS Dhoni always says that, right? You have a process, you follow it. That's the only controllable thing that you have. The other person's decision, which is not controllable, always leave it off. And if you do all these things well, over a large number of time, you'll get it. Yeah. That's how I approach sales. And that's what I do. And it worked well.
So in my case, I really don't know what framework I use, but this one thing that I generally use, which is like touching people's emotion. Since I have never done like one-to-one sales, all the things that I do in social media, what I do is I know that there is a problem in most people. I know that I have a service for them. But since we all know that most people take decision or most people, take action only when they are like the emotion is at peak. They just want to take the action. So how can I do that by saying certain things? Like, for example, most people are at A and then they just want to go to B. I try to bring down the A to the point where they realize that, okay, this is a shitty situation that I'm in, and make B is, somewhere as a outcome that they're waiting to achieve. And here is a service that I have in the middle. So they're like, the more I talk about their problem, the more I talk about their, their current situation, it makes them feel like, oh shit, I have to do this. This is my time to take the action. The more I emotionally touch them, then they're like, what can I do now? Hey, I have a service. Yeah. So this is what I do, and it mostly works. In fact, it never, never a point where it did not work. Only time it did not work is when I don't tell the story properly. Maybe I'm like, okay, this is a service I have. Do you want to take it? Nobody cares. Mm-hmm. I have this cohort coming. Do you want to take? Nobody cares. I have this amazing solution for you. Nobody cares. You know what? You're in a situation. You have to take action now. And this is what you're going to get. End of the service. And they're like, yeah, I will take it because I want to change. I want to transform.
That actually reminds me of, a way in which I work too. We actually generally we paint a word picture. Mm-hmm. That's the right, that's the word terminology that I would use. Painting a word picture is like, we explain the situation to the client of where they are today and where they could be. Telling them about where they are today, really, as you rightly said, it kind of touches on their emotion of, oh shit, okay, this is where I am.
Obviously not in a manipulating way.
It is not manipulating. It is all about, you can paint a word picture of how a person would be happy using or buying your product or service. You could also create a word picture saying what would be the cost of not buying your product. Yeah. So if, for example, this is how most insurance selling happens, right? You give them a negative picture and tell them, see, this is where you and your family could be if you don't do what I tell you to do today, or if you don't buy what I am selling today, if you don't buy my product. It is all about painting that word picture and, kind of putting all these things together. Like, what is the cost of the product? What is the cost of not buying the product? Where you are today, where you could be tomorrow? How is the market reacting? All these things go into that word picture. And then at finally you tell them this is what it is, and then ask them the question, are you ready to make that? In most instances, they will be ready. If as you said, the story is clear and it makes sense and they do have a need.
Yeah.
There is no point in trying to push something to somebody that they don't need this particular product, and no point in selling it. But then if there is definitely a need, if we create the perfect situation, the story is there, the word picture is there, you explain to them clearly why they need what you're selling, most probably the answer will be yes.
And another classic problem that we have while selling is that, your service or product is this much, and then I have like bunch of other service providers who are charging less. So why should I go with you?
I always try and right in the beginning,
But
I say
it makes sense when they ask, but I'm just asking like, how are we going to navigate that?
See, that's a whole
Yeah.
series of objections. Sorry, Karthik. There's a whole series of objections. I think we should take the objections as a group later. Before that, sorry, Karthik, I would like to add on to what you said. So he used that word picture, right? That's a wonderful thing. How you paint it, how you paint the word picture. One thing that he beautifully said was most of the salesmen, they focused on what they will get if they take as a service or product. Okay. But there's another way of doing it. What will you lose if you don't take it? Trust me, some of the best sales, you can have a shitty product or service. Some of the best salespeople, they actually negatively, I'm using negatively because it's a loss. They tell you what loss you will make if you don't buy a thing. One thing he told was insurance. The other thing from my line of this thing is our beloved friends, Vastu consultants. So Vastu, there's no single textbook. It's not proven. It's a belief system. There are a few scientific references overlapping that happen. Forgetting that, I don't want to get into Vastu, whether it's right, wrong, and stuff. But from a sales perspective, Vastu people are some of the best salespeople because they always tell what you will lose if you don't keep the service. You don't keep the Kubera Mulaya, Southwest, if you don't keep the master bedroom, your wealth will be lost.
Yeah.
If you keep the study room there, the children are going to fail. The same way, and they will also use the positive cues. They'll say that if you do this, there'll be a lot of prosperity. But the negative, the picture that they paint, that really works well because fear is a stronger emotion, or losing is a stronger emotion than happiness.
Yeah.
People, nobody wants to, if you want to choose between whether you want to be happy or you don't want to be sad.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sad is what people will choose.
Yeah.
Okay? So that thing. And with regards to what Rahul said, you say that, you often say that you don't understand, you think that, I don't know whether it works or not, online selling. For you, it is easy.
Yeah, but it's just that I don't do like a process, or I don't have like a set of
so I will tell you your process. Okay, why I say it is difficult. The thing is, the sales that Karthik or me are saying, most of them are in-person sale. Okay, and that is why both of us are able to relate it to a performance or a singing. Because when you're selling, it is, you improvise. He used the word improvise. What I say is, you have to observe people, how they are reacting, all the cues that they give, where they are smiling, where they are, frowning, where they are not, where they are looking away. So all those are important, right? How you do a performance. Now, this is actually easy. It's easy because you immediately get the result and you're able to make decision, and over a period of time, you will know what to speak, what not to speak, what to explain next, when to not speak, and all those things. The online sales that you do, you are actually, imagine you're selling to a blank wall.
Yeah.
While you're selling, you are just recording a camera, and you will know the feedback of how they do it based on the indirect responses like comments, or the sale, or the form filling or something. To be able to crack that, to be able to perform without a live audience, it's very, very tough because I've done both. For me, that is very easy because you get the thing, the process that I know, it's very easy. But to do an online sales, I kind of, get worked up. Like I used to get the results directly, but here in online, it takes time and the queues are different and the learning process takes more time. So in that sense, what you crack is really good. I mean, the process is the same, where they are, where they want to reach, and how your service or your solution is going to ladder them up. It's a triangle, upward triangle, right? So that you're following, but you're saying you don't have a process, but you actually have a process which is connecting that desired state from whatever state by highlighting their pain point, aggravating it, and then also giving them the dream location. And then you are also telling that this is the process or path which you should go through a story.
Yeah. And also I follow this customer persona thing. So I make sure that whatever I talk, people who want to know more, they will, give yours. Other people are like, okay, maybe this is not for me. So
This
I talk
is the
in a very,
process. This is the process framework that all of us are talking, but I think you explained it the best. Problem, this state, desired state, through a story, you take them there and how your thing aggravates client persona.
So, and also there's a simple formula where most people are like, I want to get this thing done in very less time, with the best possible way and without me taking much risk. These three factors, when you tick, then they are like fine. Because nobody wants thing to get it. Like, for example, if my service take 1 year for them to accomplish, then people are like, no. Yeah, 3 months, you will get it. Yes. Okay, what is the risk that you have? Like, you try for 1 week and then if you don't like it, I'll refund. So there is no risk. So second tick. Third tick is, what is the thing that I said?
Easy to do.
Easy to do, yeah. So we don't want to give them like hard work. No one wants to pay and then do more work, right? So these three things also.
Good sales or products or services, they happen because most of us are lazy. Like Swiggy or Zomato, the online delivery thing. They are there because of our laziness.
No, I learned this because I'm a YouTube guy, right? Every time I watch YouTube, you see all the transformation videos will go viral. 5-minute ab workout, you get 6-pack abs. The million views. Basic, it's when you watch the thumbnail and watch the view count, you understand like what is the people mentality. I don't want to put in the work. I just want the result in less possible time. This framework works across, it doesn't matter whether you're creating content, doesn't matter whether you're, but in business, we have to make sure that what we say is true.
True. You go and tell them that you have to show up every day consistently for 1 year. They'll be like, no. If you go and tell them, all you have to do is just spend 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. But when you say
I think that's where the ethical thing comes into play, right?
So you need to know where to.
Exactly. Looking at this video, they try and change the way it is presented with the thumbnails and everything to kind of make you view it. But is that really going to give you the right kind of?
Now we can understand that that's what the human motivation is, what I'm saying. We can take that as an example and try to fit into any service or business where we can genuinely try to help people in less possible time.
Exactly. As long as it's ethical, I think that's a good place to be in.
I think what Karthik is trying to say is there will be we know that this ad is made up on sales copy. They would have created a sales copy. They'll say that you want to become an online coach. Because I do online mentorship, right? So this thing is filled with a lot of these ads. You can become an online coach in 3 days time, even if you're not an expert in anything. Like,
so, the same formula. Less time, less risk.
Knowledge, you're a coach. How will you be a coach without knowing knowledge? Sounds good as a sales copy, and actually people fall for it. See, where we have to be ethical now, whenever I find a dilemma, when the customer needs it or the person needs it, I'm trying my best to tell them that they need it. Okay. One pointing mala, they themselves, this is one important statement. People don't know what they don't know. Now that's where our job begins. Like we have to make them know what they actually don't know. And then say, this is a problem that you're going to get, right? Genuinely, ethically. And then say, when you face it, this is what will happen. If they've not already faced. Or sometimes, they will have that problem, but they will not know the reason is because of this.
Yeah.
And now you have to aggravate that problem, and we should tell them like, you know what, you would have faced this. You know why? This is the reason.
Yeah.
X happened because you didn't do A, and our product or service A is going to solve that X for you. Now that is the so whenever I have this ethical dilemma, right? When I'm like, okay, this client is going to face a problem, and this architect who's coming to me for mentoring is going to face a problem, and I know it is a problem, and I know they have to sell. And to cross that line, I just think, okay, let me take this example of feeding a child, a baby. A baby doesn't want to eat, but we know the baby should eat all the carbs, the vegetables and stuff. You tell them that tomorrow, if you eat it, you'll become big. You will go and play football. You will go and do this thing. You will get a lot of best thing is
Energy.
maths again. What is
You
that?
can play a lot.
Ladies, if you eat ladies finger, you'll be good in maths. I don't know
Yeah.
who came up with that. But you tell
Yeah.
all of that to sell the idea of feeding the kid that it should eat. Is it good for the kid? Damn, it is. And is it unethical? It is not unethical. It is ethical. But what are we feeding the kid matters. Are you feeding it proper stuff, or are you feeding it, chocolates like all these product FMCG companies, right? They with a lot of sugar, lot of unhealthy things, and saying that this is going to be healthy. No, that is unethical.
They say protein, but then there's only 1.2% of protein.
So that's unethical. But that's the line between being unethical and ethical in sales.
Yeah.
But the hacks that we use, they are the same for both unethical and ethical sales.
Yeah. And some products, the worst is like they put some, like for example, they claim the product is the processed version of the fruit or whatever, but then there is like literally zero in it. And then they write in a way that this is just for the namesake. We don't contain any of the product inside.
Product, yeah.
But the name itself says
All
like
the-
orange.
No,
Like, let's say,
it's like saying that the name is Orange Fizz and then it contains no orange.
yeah, exactly.
And the colors, the green color,
Yeah.
all these bright colors on the front, low sugar, 99% this thing, 100% this thing. And then back you go, the first three ingredients, it will have everything that people should not eat. And then having banned stuff that is there stuff that is banned in Europe or USA, here they'll be on top, right?
Yeah.
No, food industry is a big thing. That is part of, we can't really stop them from doing it. It's the authorities. The ethical part, when Karthik asked me, this is how I treat some clients as my kids. They don't know what they don't know. So we know we are doing it in the right way. So let us tell stories that will make them realize that they need it and then sell. That's it.
Yeah. If you are a salesperson who is watching this and you've ever done any kind of strategy that has really worked for you, just let us know in the comment section. Maybe I can integrate in my own life, in my own processes. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this video. And if at all you want to learn more about sales, and if you have certain questions that you want to ask us, let us know in the comment section as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much from Rahul.
Karthik.
Thank you, guys. And just to add on to what Rahul said, if you are going to comment your sales strategy, and if we think it's worth discussing, probably we can take it up in a next podcast and discuss.
Don't comment what you think that works. Comment on what actually worked for you.
Work for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for
Thank you.
watching.
Thank you.
Right, thanks,
Bye.
guys.